Okay.
Okay. So you guys, I'm so excited about tonight's call. I think it's a cornerstone of our business. The topic tonight is the power of a three-way call. And really, once you understand how extremely important it is and what a fabulous tool it is to our business, you won't want to build your business without it. It's that important. But I'm also really excited about Amy. She's going to be training tonight. And I'm so proud of you, Amy, for stepping out in your leadership and joining us and being our trainer tonight. And I have to tell you, from the moment you joined our team, you've been this beautiful, effervescent light. Oh, and you're also so much fun. And so I respect the fact that you've done the research and you really wanted to take time to know and understand the process. I respect the fact that you're building and really see and have embraced the opportunity that exists in this company and this profession. And you take it very seriously. And I really admire you for that. And I also, the commitment you made to step out, probably out of your comfort zone a bit, to be training tonight. So I want to thank you so much for doing that. We're all here and we applaud you, and we're here to support you and also to learn so much from you. So thank you. I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to you. And if you need me or want me to jump in at any point, please ask me to. Okay?
Great. Well, hi, everybody. I mean, I knew that I would be greeted by friendly faces, so that's awesome. And I'm flattered that you actually asked me to do this, because you're right, it's out of my comfort zone and I feel like I'm in my infancy, but anytime there's a chance to grow, I think you take that opportunity. So, and it's interesting because a three-way call was one of the things that initially made me realize how helpful having this team could be, because there's a number of ways to do it. Is my music too loud? It's in the background. Is that okay? So I did, look up a lot of things, and a three-way call is really basically a very simple concept, but I think that it really has to be done properly. I'm looking at who's here, and I think most of you are well seasoned, but it's a chance, I guess, to practice and to bring in some things that, some other things that we can click on and be able to, you can add to your toolbox. So one of the quotes that I saw when I was looking at this was, of course, a Kathy Coover quote, and she said, "There's nothing more powerful than the human voice," which is so true. It brings us so much comfort. It supplies so many different things in our lives. Silence doesn't really do that, but when you have two voices, it's even more powerful. And the chance to know that we are learning as much as we can, but that we need to know more, and be able to have somebody come in as an expert because they've been doing this longer, is such a great part of teamwork for me. And I came into Isagenix like a lot of people, saying, I'm not going to sell it. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But it was really this whole process and learning from you guys that made me realize I can do this. And it's become really kind of easy in terms of actually carrying it out. Not really all of the, there's a lot of nuts and bolts, I'll just put it that way. So what I did was, what I wanted to break it down to the purpose of the three-way phone call and then the mechanics of the three-way phone call. So I'm actually going to share the screen because I looked up a podcast, and it's The 44th Millionaire. It's Hillary Courtney, and she lives kind of in Timbuktu, Kansas City. She says in a town of 1,000 where there's not a lot of people, and yet she was able to do this. And I think she says that in order to really effectively build your business, you should be doing 3 to 5 three-way phone calls a week. And I think that makes perfect sense. If we're talking to people and they have questions and we're not feeling comfortable, just being able to bring somebody else in for a variety of reasons. But I can see how that could build our business. So the first thing that I was going to show you was just her. Did that come up? I didn't put share screen. Okay. So, Mark, you know that this wasn't really the fastest learning curve that I've ever had. Okay, so now did that show up? Is that showing the podcast?
Yes.
Okay. So that's just the podcast that you can go to. I felt felt that she was so easy and genuine to listen to. I don't know how many of you have listened to her, but she made such smooth transitions. And then she actually had some great concepts for closing when for your original, the enrolling sponsor after listening to the training expert. So she actually does, and I'll go into that, she incorporates that into the last part of her phone call. But what she says, and this is what all of the other things that we have here say, that what you can accomplish with the three-way phone call, first of all, is a third-party validation, because we're not all experts. And when you have a third person come in, and actually psychologists call this social proof, and I think we all know that we apply this to ourselves and we find ourselves doing that, and that is when we're more likely to do something if other people are doing it too, which I think that we can relate to. The second thing is that they hear your enthusiasm and they want to be part of it, and you're showing them that it's a skill that you know, but they realize it's the skill that they can learn, because all of your teammates are going to help, and what we hear all the time is duplication, duplication, duplication. So she makes a good point too, and it's that it's better to have ignorance on fire than knowledge on ice. And to me that was a comforting quote, because most of us are pretty enthusiastic because we love the products. And the third thing is that it is duplicatable. So the three-way calls develop your language skill.
In the end, what did
There's somebody who needs to be muted.
that was an issue that made a lot of noise.
Do you hear that?
Political ads, but the voters cared more about what was going to happen with their health care, whether Republicans cared about right.
Says you vote for Washington, go with whoever.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
You're good now.
I was hearing all kinds of things about the politics, so I wasn't sure. So it's duplicatable. So the three-way calls develop your language skills and your knowledge, because you can learn while you earn, essentially, which is another kind of tagline that we hear. When you go into it, it's not just to get a new customer, because we can use it for a number of reasons. The first time I used a three-way phone call was I called in Laura Longo because I had an Ironman triathlete, and there were questions about performance products, which I was barely using. So I called Laura in, and I have to say that I was a total three-way call fail, because I called Laura in and didn't know the mechanics of it, and I kept talking. And God love Laura, because she just kept talking too, and I realized she's talking, so I don't need to be answering Molly, even though she's directing at me. I need to keep refocusing back to Laura. You know, I've used Erin. Erin has come in and spoken together with me because she's so good. She's had so much experience with weight loss, and so she could answer questions from having the longevity with the company. KJ, if there's somebody who's pregnant or has a new baby, I'm calling you in. Amanda, I have a friend who has MS, and that's one thing we keep talking about, that she would be contacting you. We would have a three-way phone call with her. And Kathleen, I can't say enough about for how much she brings to the science table. I mean, anything that I need to research, Kathleen was there. So that's been great. So one thing that that I wasn't aware of that I think has been really important is that you show 2 videos. Like, you as the enrolling sponsor make sure that you have 2 videos that your person has seen, so that that's a platform for your expert to talk about, and you can tell them which 2 videos they are. So I know one that, well, here's actually that you guys can have access to, and I'll put it up on the Facebook page. So this is the training guide for the art of the three-way phone call, and she goes into, like, she always chooses, like, are you toxic? Which I think that's just another version of Mary's. And then she selectively chooses start your life, amplify your workout, enterprising women, which I just watched, which is excellent. Jill Burth's Transformation, which I think is probably the perfect weight loss one, no matter how much weight you have to lose, because she's so inspirational. So this is the Enterprising Women one, which you'll have the link for that also on YouTube. I don't know how many of you have seen it. Jill Burth's, obviously most of you have seen it. And so I did go on and I found this piece, which you can find the link to also. So I'll give you the link to that. So it's the guidelines. So it's the magic of the third-party validation, the benefits of three-way calling, the guidelines, which we'll go into. So the mechanics of it, this is from, the next one is actually from isabiz.com. No, that's not true. So we'll use this one. But I thought of Michael Klaus with the egg, because as many things as I looked at, the first time I went to make a three-way phone call, I got up and I'm like, oh my gosh, does my phone do this? So there was the egg in this. It goes through what all the mechanics are, but it doesn't say check your phone, make sure you know how to make a three-way phone call. So that should be included in there. And before the call, you need to pre-qualify your contact. And by doing that, you can show the video. You can show the video, talk about them, make a list of what topics need to be discussed when you bring in your expert. Then schedule the call with your prospect and make 2 times with your expert. Absolutely be sure that those times are carved in stone. And then the day of, go back and verify that, call the trainer ahead of time, and then get on the call and say, you know, we'll be calling you in 5 minutes. It seemed like there was a lot of important tips on how to maintain control and use proper etiquette. But it all boils down to the same couple of factors. And the first one is to edify correctly, which I think probably everyone here does, because I hear, you know, we hear people talk about each other. And so one of the things you can talk about is what level of income earner they are, how long they've been with the company, what their area of expertise is, so that you can generate an amount of comfort level within that person. But it's equally as important to edify the customer, because they need to also feel that they're as valued as the trainer, and that obviously this call is about them, and we want to make sure that we're going to answer what they need. So it's also important to say how you know them, and we don't do the friend thing. Like it's not my friend. It's like actually why they came to you, what they need, and what solutions that we're going to look for. And then you back out. One of these even says, get out the duct tape your mouth, which they probably knew me when they said that, and said, that would be an ideal thing for her to do. I don't know what happened to my one from Isagenix, but I'll add that one. I'll add that one also. I went through this 5 times, so I'm not really sure why I don't have that one, but it's essentially the same information. So when you back out, then you're really turning over the authority. And I think that it was important for me to think about that when I've met with people, and usually I've done it more in person. Kathleen has been great about that initially until I reached my comfort level. And it's easy to think, well, wait, will this person that I'm going to enroll have as much confidence in me when I'm turning it over to someone else? So that's where it's like, okay, backtrack. Because the bottom line is we've brought in somebody that we admire and we trust, whether it is on a phone call, whether it's supplying them with more information another way. And so we'll circle back around with that person. And I think that's the key to being able to stop talking, is thinking through the ego issue and saying, I know what I know, and there's a reason that I'm doing this. I think it's also important, and in looking at a lot of this information, it's important that the other thing that the expert does is to help close. And so the training expert should know, and I probably wouldn't have known this if I was being called in as the expert, was to help to tie up the actual closing. And even though these questions sound familiar, they're actually kind of different. So the first question is, are there any other questions that I can answer? Which kind of sounds the same as the second question, but the second question is there anything else that I can tell you that would help you make your decision today? And it's verbiage, but I think it's important verbiage because if I was asked both of those questions, I would look at them differently. And after that, say, from what you've told me, it sounds great. You would be perfect for the value pack. It sounds like that's what would work for you. And specifically say the amount of that pack and say $559 plus tax. It's 80 meals. You can go into other details if you want. And I just ran into this today where a customer texted me and said, hey, I thought it was $559 and I didn't get the $29 enrollment, but my actual bill was $613. And I'm like, okay, let me get back to you on this. And the reality is I did not specifically say tax and shipping. And I don't think that I haven't done that really with most people. And that's something that I'm going to want some input in because I think that is a little bit of sticker shock. And it's, it's a substantial amount. It's another $70. So I want to see how other people handle that. And then the trainer says, now I'll get off. And Frank, for instance, Frank is now going to take your information. He's going to get your name, address, phone number, email, credit card, all the things you talked about. You'll be getting your product in 3 to 4 days. I'm so excited for you to start. I think you're ending it then on a positive note and, reaffirming what the whole point of the phone call was. There are obviously some downs, and I think I've kind of covered that, and that is back off, stop talking. And Lauren today sent me a voicemail, and I thought it's just as easy for Lauren to discuss what she encountered in a phone call today, because it sounded like something that's probably happened to all of us, happened more than once. So I think it's important to clarify what happened, Lauren, and maybe how we can problem solve that in the future.
Well, Amy, I just have to compliment you on all the amazing information that you brought to us tonight. I mean, I'm looking at websites now. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that before. Like the one that's up on your screen. So thank you for bringing all of that really solid information. And we were talking about this 3-way call process, and it's really important for, I think, the individual. You're bringing a leader on. You're the middle person, and you're bringing a new person on. And you being the middle person, just because you're bringing a third party on, does not mean that you don't know what's taking place and you don't know the answer. So that's a really big thing. It's not about you. It's about showing this new person that they don't need to know everything. They don't need to know what you know. So you just remove yourself. A lot of times we get, involved, right, Aim? With thinking we have to know everything, when even if you know the answer, it's our responsibility to that new person to make sure that we step aside and we show them that there is this bridge that takes place between the leader and the new person and this other, and so that they can kind of see themselves. They're in their first phase right now, but they're soon going to be in that second phase. That makes sense? Was that?
Yeah. Essentially, I can see where you get. So what you've had happen, and I think what I did with Laura was that I didn't zip it. And so that was actually less effective. And then I think, were you not, sometimes maybe you'll get overwhelmed and get pulled into a call. I think it's really important. If you bring in an expert, you make sure
that's important. That's a really good point too, I think, Aim, because, if you've got a leader that's waiting for a 3-way call and then this other person that you're talking to, takes you off track, it's your responsibility as the leader to keep them on track. Because you're like, oh my gosh, you've got great questions. We can catch up afterwards, but I've got my coach waiting for us. And we talked about this, every 3-way call, we always learn something. I don't care where we are, what phase of the game, right? So if people get that, because I've been having some of this with my team where they're like, oh, I don't really feel like they don't want to get on the call. All you do is we position it you know what, you're going to be doing me a really big favor because I'm still learning, and or this is a situation or a question I haven't come across before. You're going to do me a huge favor. My coach is on the line. I'm going to merge the call, and you're going to help me learn just like you're going to learn.
I love that. That's such a great way to finesse it. And especially, like you said, some people are a little, they are opposed to bringing somebody else in because I think that's one more step towards commitment, and it probably actually is. And so you're right, to be able to say, this will help me, it doesn't show that you don't know. It shows that you're willing to learn more, which I think is a great message. Like, I'm going to learn more for your specific need. Like, this isn't one size fits all.
And if I could add something there too, Amy, is I think if you're weird about a three-way call, your customer is going to be weird about a three-way call too. So if you're uncomfortable with it, like back to Lauren, what you were saying, maybe some people in your team are saying they don't want to get on a three-way call. That's probably because they're not comfortable with the idea of a three-way call. Maybe they haven't done them a lot. They don't appreciate the value of it. So check in with yourself and see how comfortable you are with it, because remember, you're the coach in this situation. So if you say something like, I want to set you up for success, and I have someone else on my team who's a very experienced coach, and she or he have had a lot of experience, and they can just walk you through a few steps that will make such a difference and get you across the finish line. Or I want to bring in someone who is a mom, just like you, who is nursing, just like you are right now, and just by having her on this call, she's going to answer some questions that maybe I can't. Or someone who has lost the weight, because that I came to this for lean muscle and energy, so I'm going to bring in someone who has lost weight, and she can just take you through the journey in a way that I can. So again, each time you do it, if you bring the credibility and and it's your posture, like everything we do in this business, and heart of service, there to help them, and you say, I want to set you up for success, and you've made a big commitment, and I'm here to support you, and I think this person's going to make such a difference for you in hearing what they have to say. Same thing with business, right? Here's my partner, and this is how we do this business. So what I'd love to do is introduce you to my partner. Or you're celebrating a victory, I'd love to bring in my partner, or the person who's my coach, to have you share what's happened, the success you've had on this program. All of those things, we find the reasons to create a three-way call. And if we believe in it, and we know our business is all about duplication and showing people it's an easy thing to do, because all we do is bring in someone else who helps us do it. And if every time you're bringing someone into a three-way call, you're showing them how easy this business is. You have a heart of service, and you're showing them how much there is help for them, how much help there is for them. That's the power of what we do. So again, posture is everything. Just wanted to say that. Anyway, back to you, girl.
Oh, no, that's great. I love that, because I think anytime somebody who's done this for a long time shows us the ease of what we can say, for me, it's so great, because I think I can get locked into saying the same things, but to hear you say it in a fresh way, on the other training calls, I went back and listened to all of those. I'm like, wow, there's so much, that you think it's subtle. You listen to it once, but when you listen to it again, like, oh my gosh, that's another tool in my toolbox. And, there was an interesting thing that Jeffrey Combs said. He said, I got to look at it again, but he said, basically, when somebody says, well, how did he say it? That when somebody says, well, it's over. Like, we might have a way to bring more, but when you have gone through it and had the trainer and somebody says, well, he said, they're going to start talking at you, and you need to take control of that conversation again and say, we'll talk again later. You have time to think about it. They're not going to close then. And you might say differently than that, and I would love your opinion on that, because I think it's been important for me to realize somebody's level of dedication to this, and I've gotten really good about saying, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? So I think if there are certain trigger words that we realize, they're not there, because they could say, I'm a 9, I'm a 10, but we've all seen that where they're really not, and that's okay. We're meeting them where they're at. But if they're not at that point, we probably need to come in another way rather than going too much further with it.
Well, I think that's really true. And I think we've heard Gary Vaynerchuk speak recently, and he said, be patient. And
Just playing a long game.
we're playing, if you're in this for the long game, you don't have to have that urgency. You can create urgency if someone's close to the finish line and you can feel it. And we have specials like free shipping, free membership that can help someone cross that finish line. That creates that urgency. But overall, when you're having a conversation with someone, you have to know where they are. And they may need more information from you. Eric Worre says it so well. He said, in this business, you have to have a lot of planes on your runway. And understand that some people need a longer runway and some people are going to jump in and be ready to take off. And your job is to have a lot of planes that are taking off that runway. But you need to fill the runway. Like you need to fill your pipeline. And then you are patient and you play a long game. So you just figure out where that person is and you ask questions. If they're not there yet, ask what more information can I give to you? When should I circle back with you? You keep in control of the process, but you are of service and you respect where they are in their decision making. And so I think that that's really important. And the other thing, I heard this a couple times as I've learned this business, is that you have to, in the sale process, and this applies very much to three-way calls, is that people are always asking this question. They hear a little bit of your story, just enough to answer these three questions, which is, can I do this? Will I get help? And what's in it for me? So if my goal is weight loss, that's what's in it for me. I want to know that there's a story somewhere that you're going to bring to me that's going to show me I can lose weight. Can I do this? That's going to be validated by a third party. It's going to be you telling that story, but then social proof comes in from you bringing another friend in who maybe they hop on the call for 5 minutes and say, oh my gosh, I wasn't sure I could cleanse. I was so nervous about it. It was so easy. And guess what? I feel better than I've ever felt in my life. And I lost those 10 sticky pounds I was trying to get rid of, right? That's, can I do this? And will I get help is you bringing that third party call together, because they're going to say that you, Amy, have expertise and you also can reach into your team and bring further and additional expertise to them. And so that is what we do. And so if in our business, there are certain things you habitually must do to create success in your business, three-way calls are one of them. So even if it's uncomfortable in the beginning, like when we had to get social security numbers from everyone, that was really uncomfortable in the beginning. But then when it wasn't uncomfortable any longer, it was easy to do. A three-way call is one of those key and essential steps that we take to build a successful business. And so if you know that, it's just something you learn to do and you master. And so when you do it, if you're thinking, this person needs to know, can they do this? What will they get help? What's in it for them? You're that first line of defense, but bringing in team is showing them those things. And it's a win-win-win, because in the end, you're also showing them the other key thing of our business, which is duplication. And you're showing them how easy it is to step in and share this. So maybe when Mary's had a great experience, you brought her to a three-way call, she had the ease of it, she found out someone else's story. Then she wants to tell her friend about it. She knows that you could bring in another expert for her too. She knows how easy it is. She doesn't have to know everything because the process is duplicating, and it's a
just want to watch it.
Yeah.
And Lynn, may I jump in?
Go right ahead.
Because I think it's really important to also call out that, as leaders, it is our responsibility when someone's had a great product experience and they're leading into sharing on Facebook, it is our responsibility to get them on a call for whether it's 10 minutes and let's just go over, before Isagenix, how are you feeling? And you get those 3 words of how they were feeling before. You walk them through their 30-second story. I give them an assignment to, we go through their 30-second story. It doesn't take any more than 10 minutes. And then, okay, let's practice this. And then I brought some of the newer people onto a 3-way call just to share their story. And it's and they're like, oh my God, this is, they are empowered because their story matters and they're impacting another life. So So I just want to bring that
Well,
up.
also they have the joy of that. We all know what it feels like when you first begin, and all of a sudden lights are going off because you're feeling so good for the first time. So that bringing that joy to someone else as a very new person, it sends such a strong, powerful message to that new person. So I love it. And Amy, this was so good. Your training's been amazing. That website that that great training that you posted on your screen. That's a really good place to go to, everyone. That's allinonebusiness.net.
Mhm.
Oh, it's a great resource
that up
library.
again.
The training is fabulous and it's very succinct and easy to follow. It gives you scripts, so that is just right there, all in one page on it. Well, the website is allinonebusiness.net. That might be one of the pages in there.
Okay.
But the name of the website is allinonebusiness.net. And it was developed by an engineer. She's an Isogenics millionaire, Carol Taylor, and she is fabulous. And it's really helpful. So that'll give you the how-to. That's what I used when I was first training, and I use it every time. I always have it in front of me. It's a great way to really get it. Another thing, just another tip I want to throw in on a three-way call is when you're setting up the call, set the time. So say, I'm going to have Amy, you might be saying, Mary, I'm gonna have my friend Lauren on. We're gonna talk for about 15 minutes. Like if you set the parameters of it, Mary's gonna know going into it that she's not gonna tell her entire life story to Lauren, but also she's gonna know that there's a give and take. So by giving her time she knows what to expect so she can manage her day. Again, it's just a level of professionalism to always let people know what the expectation is in terms of time. I think really important to edify both people so that person, that the expert that you're bringing in, your partner that you're bringing in, Mary has a reason to want to listen to what Lauren says, right? She's going to feel like it's a good get. It's worth her time and effort to listen to Lauren. So at the top of the call, to really spend time validating that person you're bringing. It's not for the ego of the person you're bringing to the call. It's for the attention of your customer. That's why you're doing it. So important to do that. Make your introductions succinct. No more than 1 or 2 sentences is plenty. And then you stop and say, now I'm going to turn this over to Lauren. Mary, Lauren. And then you put duct tape over your mouth. Now you have a job to do when that's happening, right? So Lauren's job is to get to know Mary and to create rapport with Mary. So you're interrupting, it breaks rapport. Okay, that's why you want duct tape over your mouth. But your job is to take notes. So the whole time they're talking to each other, you are taking notes. You're going to find things about Mary that you didn't know. You're going to find things out, maybe her hopes and expectations because of the questions that Lauren is asking. So you're taking notes so that you can then have that for Mary's file as you move forward, and you can help Mary further. So you have a job to do. You're going to learn, you're going to listen, you're going to see how Lauren's creating rapport, and you're also going to be taking notes so that you can be a better service to your customer. It was a great training. Really, thank you so much for this.
I want one other thing that.
Hey, Amy, awesome technical virtuosity.
Yeah, go girl. You sure.
Considering last week I was listening on my phone, and when I heard, oh, Amy will be doing the training last week, I thought, oh wow, there's a new Amy in our group. But one thing I wanted to say, because David T.S. Wood says this, and Michael Klaus says this, and it's getting, we spend so much time getting ready to be ready. And if I had something that'd be tattooed across my forehead, it would be getting ready to be ready. And that, to me, is the number one thing, meeting with a third person, with a prospect, whether in person or on the phone. That's number one thing that takes away that pressure of getting ready to be ready. Because I would be looking up 10 articles or doing whatever to feel like I was really going to be able to say something, and somebody else is going to say it so much more eloquently, or I'm going to be able to say it so much more eloquently to somebody that's starting out. And I think that's, if we're getting ready to be ready, we're not building business.
That's very true. It's how many calls, it's the action you're taking, and it's even doing the uncomfortable until it becomes comfortable. It's knowing that you're going to change people's lives with what you do. You're either going to show them a path to freedom, or you're going to show them a path to health, or you're going to do both. And so it is always worth it to step out of your comfort zone and to help, because not in that process of so doing it, you're going to set yourself free too. And so that's what we're doing this for. And you're right, getting ready to get ready, we can all do that. But going out and taking the action is really how we build a business. And mastering these simple skills, making the commitment, you know, saying to yourself, I'm going to make, as, what did you say, Hillary Courtney said, 3 to 5 three-way calls a week. That just is what you do. That's the matter of course. I'm going to do 3 to 5 three-way calls this week. And I'm going to
You
learn.
made a good point. It can be congratulating somebody. It can be, you know, it can be talking about one other thing or something that they did. That's, I think, a great way to do it. 3-way phone call. I didn't think about that. You said that. I'm like, that's genius. That is still learning and showing somebody else how to do it.
And you know, it's a simple thing. You, even when you can answer a question, this is what I did in the beginning. Even if I knew the answer to a question, I didn't want to show that because that makes me too much of an expert. And so then my person's going to think, oh, well, Lynn's the expert. So I can't, you know, I'll never know as much as she knows. Right. So even if you have the answer to a question, create reasons for a 3-way call. So it could be something like, that's such a good question. You know what? I was just talking to KJ about that yesterday. Would you mind if I have her pop on for a minute? Right. So it can be, you find reasons to create a 3-way call because you know, every time you create a reason for a 3-way call, you are starting the process of duplication. And our business is about duplication. So it's a lot of people doing the same simple thing over and over and over again. The simpler we make it, the more people will feel they can do it. So I find reasons, create those 3-way calls. So thank you. This has been fabulous training tonight. I think.
And I learned how to split screen and get on a Zoom call and add things in there. So Mark, thank you for your time. And Lynn, thank you for your advice the other night. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And thank you.
I love you, girl.
Thank you for your training. Stepping out. We're really proud of you. Did an excellent job. So thank you so much. Applause from everyone. Thank you.
Great job, Amy.
Yeah. Thank you, Amy. Good night, everyone.
Great team.
Awesome. I'm proud of you.